Beck Lane, and this is Catalyst and Company. Catalyst and Company, where we're catalysts in each other's lives as well as our own, and we work on being the artists we've always wanted to be, or we be the artists we've always wanted to be. And I don't know about you, but I'm really, really, really struggling with that right now. Hurricane Ian ran through Sarasota 13 days ago, I think, 12 days ago. And internet was knocked out, trees were knocked down, people's homes were flooded. So I'm going to sound really whiny in a sec. But so we haven't had internet in quite a while, and I've been trying to get updates. Everybody's been trying to get updates from Xfinity as to what's going on, and they really don't tell you absolutely anything other than wham wham wham. We're just doing stuff. Something. It's been it's been difficult for me because I can't make videos the way I normally do, and I can't post them. So I'm using my phone, and I have it turned around. The front lens is cracked, so the image is blurry if we do at the front end. So I've got the lens pointed this way. It should be a little bit better. But again, I don't have great phone service, and I don't have any Wi-Fi, and I have no answers as to when this is going to happen. They cut apparently a major cable. They got parts of Sarasota up and running, and then someone or some guys, some team between Xfinity and the city doing cleanup and cutting down trees, a major cable was cut to Sarasota. I don't know what that means. I don't know where it is. I don't know what that means. We had a cable cut on the next street over, a couple houses down. I was told that last week, and that they would have it up and running as soon as they could replace the cable. And instead of just sitting in my place and getting more and more frustrated and feeling more and more isolated, I walked all around looking for an Xfinity truck. There are no longer Xfinity trucks in the area. There are none. And we have debris absolutely everywhere. So, it just doesn't feel really good and happy right now. And I'm really frustrated because making these YouTube videos helps. God, I'm blurry. Wait a minute. Helps me to feel connected to at least some people in the world, some community. And I really and truly am lost without it. I feel a little like Ted Kaczynski in the woods, and I may end up writing a manifesto, because I have whole days where I'm trying desperately to paint, and it just becomes so weary. It makes me weary, painting sometimes, or trying to paint makes me weary. And not having communications with people. I won't leave the house for days on end. Now, that said, we've all been struggling for the last couple of years with the COVID, over 2 years now with, all the upheaval and implosion with COVID, but then before that as well with Trump. We've all been struggling so much, and I know so many people are just worn to shreds at this point, and that's where I am too. And I don't want to add to the pile that you feel, but if you're feeling that way, just like, please, something happen. You're not alone. I find myself, I'm so thirsty. That walk is very warm out. Yeah, sorry. Something or other, worn to shreds, doobity doo. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to say after that. Anyway, I went for a walk, because in all this, especially the past few months, I've just found myself sitting more and more and more. And especially because I didn't have a neighbor next door. I didn't have anyone who I felt might be interested in my life on any level. So, nearby, somebody nearby who could physically see me, I just kind of pooped out the past few months. So I haven't been going for walks, and I haven't been going for walks either since Bugsy died. That was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, October 1st, I stopped walking. But so my bottom has been spreading. My clothes are getting a little bit more fitted. My stretchy pants don't stretch as far as they used to. So you've got to do something about it. And I'll tell you a trick that I use when I get super duper depressed. Oh God, or sometimes when I get super duper depressed. I'll try and remember to do this. My first inclination is to sit in silence and stare at the wall, or binge watch, which I can't do now. Sit and stare at the wall. Then my first inclination, when I remember to do this, I'm in a depression, I'm super upset, anxiety ridden, filled with fear, all that stuff, is to say, what is the opposite of your first inclination? And the opposite of my first inclination is putting my shoes on and going for a walk, getting out of the house. Getting out of the house. That is always the opposite of what I want to do. So this is what I'm trying to do now. I've done it for the past few days, is when I'm up to here and like, when are things going to change? When are things going to get better? Instead of, I do go into that very deeply. I fall into that rabbit hole. But I also try to think, what is going to help? What is the opposite of what you feel like doing? So it's going for a walk. For me, it's always going out, because I never want to go out. But staying in is feeding into the depression. And just everything, all the worries and all the upset and, everything that's building up and piling up. It's so easy for me to go, I'm just going back to bed. So I've been trying, an itch. Also got something in a weird place. Anywho, I'm trying. So I was talking with a friend of mine last week who goes through the same thing. And I was telling her that I try to do the opposite of my first inclination. But then I also try and reward myself, which right now is absolutely impossible. I have no way to just even get myself a tiny thing that would be a reward. But if you can, if you're trying to work your way out of the fear and depression and anxiety and the pressures and the and you decide, instead of going with the first inclination, but to go in the opposite direction, reward yourself when that is done. Make a to-do list. This is what I told my friend too. Make a to-do list, because she's having a hard time getting anything done. And I talked to multiple people who are like, I can't get anything done. I'm just so stuck. Make a to-do list. And go through and make sure that you physically check off everything on the to-do list. Physically write it out so you can see it. Physically go through and check it off. And when you get through with your accomplishments, there may be many. There may be only one or two. Wash the dishes, make your bed. Reward yourself in a meaningful way. And sometimes it's just a piece of chocolate. Another reward would be going for a walk. Another reward could just be going to a park. One depression I went through that was really, really, really bad. We're thirsty. One depression I went through that was really, really bad. I couldn't leave my house and I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't talk to a single human being without breaking up and crying. It was physically painful for me to talk to people. So one day I was laying on my couch staring out the window again. It was the day off and I couldn't function again. And I knew I had to get out of the depression. I didn't have money for therapy. I didn't know what to do. So I kept telling myself, get up and get in the car. get up and get in your car. And it took me all day, but I remember about 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I was finally able to get my shoes on, get up, and get in the car. And I sat in the driveway for the longest time. Like, I don't want to go anywhere, I can't see anybody. But I'm like, nope, do the opposite. Do the opposite. What I did was I drove myself to one of my favorite places. Couldn't speak any louder than a whisper at that point. So I told my friend at this one particular shop that I used to love, this is what I'm doing. I explained it to her and I said, I promised myself if I say hello to one person, then I get a gift. I get a present, I get a reward, like Pavlov's dog. And so I did that once a week. Once a week. I would go to this one location, I would say hello, and I could pick up incense or a bumper sticker, or they had these little antique plates that I love, these green plates, green leaf plates that I used to love, or a doily. Something inexpensive as a reward. I did that for weeks, and then I expanded to a second location where it was my favorite coffee chocolate shop. It was this great little shop in Orleans called the Chocolate Sparrow. And it was really hard because I'd go in and there were crowds of people. And I don't like crowds of people to begin with. I find them gross. But I got myself in line and I kept saying, look the cashier in the eye, or place your order, and then you can have a chocolate coconut coffee. Absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite things in the world. So I would go to the first place and I would pick up a little something, an incense or a doily or whatever. Then I go to the Chocolate Sparrow and get myself the coconut chocolate coffee. Then after a while, I allowed myself to go to a second counter and pick up 1 to 2 pieces of chocolate coconut that they make there. So that, after a while, I didn't have to reward myself, but that's how I kick-started the whole thing, trying to get myself out of this really awful state of depression. And it's kind of never left me. That was a big one, but it eased over time. But because I couldn't afford therapy and I couldn't afford much, this is what I could do. So I'm suggesting this to other people because I have mentioned this to a number of people from time to time. And I talked about it, as I said last week, to a friend. I'm recommending it here. Reward yourself. Reward yourself. I can't do it right now, but that's just the way it is. I made my bed, I washed my clothes, I did a bunch of things, and then I kind of rewarded myself with a walk that my big squishy bottom really needed at this point. And the reward there was I feel a little bit better. I got to see some squirrels and whole gaggles of dragonfly that I've never seen this many, a swarm of dragonfly like this before. And then the smell of the debris, although it's not pretty to look at, the smell is incredible and it reminds me of home. It reminds me of being up north in the woods with Bugsy. So maybe that was my reward today. Anywho, behind me is a painting I've been trying to work on for the past week. If you remember, I painted Michelle Obama and I decided to ditch the top half where her face was. I painted over it with blues, using Prussian blue, assorted other blues, red oxide, transparent red oxide, and some other colors in there. Painted over it using those, as well as some oranges. And then over the past couple days, I've been filling in more and more and more and kind of making corrections to this. This wheel still has to be corrected. This wheel has to be corrected. There's a lot of corrections that have to be made, and of course a lot of detail, because his shirt is very blousy. There are a lot of folds in it and a lot of eyelets and lace work in it. So it's going to be very, very intricate-ish for me. I probably might get really bored with it, but I'm just keep pressing forward. Over the top of the blues, this was primarily reds and oranges. Over the blues though, I just kept expanding the oranges last night with using Gamblin Artist Colors 1980 Red Oxide. And it made him pop out. It also showed me his face was a little bit too teal for that background. But hopefully I get myself to stick with it. I've also got another painting started. It's a, hi kitty, hi tiger, yeah, yep, yes I know, hi, tiger does that constantly. So I've got another 5 foot tall by 4 foot wide painting of a young girl with a doll carriage, and then I have the commission I've been working on, which I've made myself so stymied and stuck on that I had to take it and put it away. Fortunately, I have 6 other canvases. Yes, 6 other canvases where I can start things, and hopefully we'll keep this ball rolling. Oh, and then I forgot, there's another painting over there. So, that's it. That's the update. Still no Wi-Fi, but at least we've got part of the phone service working. I don't know when we're getting internet back. Hopefully soonish. Hopefully soonish. We'll see. Nope. More police cars. Yay. That's about all we hear right now. It's very, very quiet here. Like I said, the trucks are gone. The debris has been left behind. It's a little icky, but not as icky as other places in Florida. Anywho, I'm Beckley, and this is Catalyst & Company. Catalyst & Company, if you'd like to help support Catalyst & Company, none of the links will be posted down below until I get internet. But they are, if you'd like to help support Catalyst & Company, the links are below other videos. There's links to Cash App, PayPal, which I would really appreciate any support at this point, while we keep trying to move forward. There's also a link to on other videos, there's a link to TeePublic, where you can buy images of my work on t-shirts, tote bags, coffee mugs, travel mugs, that kind of thing. And Patreon, where I barely talk to my patrons, but I really appreciate their monthly support, and support starts as low as $5 a month. If you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee, I would really love it. I would really, really love it. I appreciate it. Anywho, if you can't, that's okay too. I'm Beckley, and we'll see you later. Alright, ready? Ready, Carrie? Ciao. Ciao. Gotta walk over here and do this. Boink. Boink, boink.